What is going on, guys? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today, I want to get into some interesting comments from Rich Cimini about Zach Wilson's future. Apparently, he thinks that he is definitely not coming back in 2024, although that seems like maybe a little bit too harsh and that it may actually still be up in the air. It's that time of the week again, Underdog Fantasy Picks. Sign up using my link down below in the description or the pinned comment. We got 3 bangers for you this week. First, I will start with Tua with higher than 0.5 interceptions. The Jets picked him off twice in the first half. He is dealing with a banged up offensive line, and heading right into that next pick, Quinnen Williams higher than 1.5 sacks, or higher than, 0.5 sacks, which is a higher 1.5 times the value. I'm going the value pick here. I think he gets a sack in this one. Well, no starting right guard, no starting center. You got backups there, backups across the offensive line. Quinnen Williams is going to pin his ears back. He is going to get a sack. He's going to be doing his dance, and you can win some cash off of it. And finally, Zach Wilson, let him cook higher than 178.5 passing yards. All 3 of those plays, 3 correct on a $10 play, nets you $90. Sign up using my link down below. Use my code and get in on the fun over at Underdog Fantasy. All right, so it's been no secret. Zach Wilson is a lightning rod topic. It feels like you have a section of Jet fans that are so done with him, don't want to ever see him back, and just cut him, get rid of him, all that. And then you have the other side who's like, he's gotten better and he has to be back next year. And it's a very divisive topic online. It's like talking about politics online. There's very little middle ground, unfortunately, because I personally think it's a little bit more of a nuanced conversation. I don't think that you could ignore his improvement from year 2 to when he was unplayable to where he's been a little bit better this year. But I also don't think you could just completely just look at a handful of games and a 34 start sample size. Now he has over 30 career starts. So it's a little bit different, and it's not such an easy conversation that some make it out to be. But moral of the story, some interesting quotes from Rich Cimini, I thought anyway. So let's play the clip. I have a minute from his podcast Flight Deck. I'm a little over a minute on the clip. We'll listen to it, we'll react to it, and I'll tell you some of the interesting points to it.
Let's talk about him. Zach Wilson, is he back next year? Right now, as we're speaking, I would say he will be elsewhere next year, barring some kind of miracle run here. I believe the marriage has run its course. It's been 3 turbulent years. Obviously, not too many high points, a lot of low points. Wilson said last week that he has not discussed his future with the team. I'm not so sure that's true. I know, getting the sense from players in the locker room, that they think that Wilson expects to be gone. Salah's been very non-committal about this. Over the weekend, there was a report from the Deseret News. Now, they're located in Salt Lake City. That's Wilson's hometown newspaper. They reported that after the last benching, Wilson was told by Salah that they will trade him in the offseason. Now, he was asked about that report on Monday, and Salah did not confirm or deny it, which struck me as interesting. And someone asked him, could Wilson play his way into your 2024 plans? And Salah said, quote, anything is possible. Interesting. Usually you get that from like he's under contract, or of course we want him back. That's the usual response from a head coach. Salah gives us anything is possible. That makes me believe that the Jets, in their mind, are probably going to move on.
2 quotes that jumped out to me. Is he back next year? Right now, as we're speaking, I would say he will be elsewhere next year, barring some kind of miracle run here. I believe the marriage has run its course. Now, if you ask me right now where I feel with 4 games left, that doesn't seem like a crazy take. And that's not, again, diminishing his improvement, but feels like Zach Wilson and the New York Jets might be able to benefit by just moving on, saying, we gave it a go. You're the number 2 overall pick. We traded for Aaron Rodgers because it wasn't working out. And by the time Aaron Rodgers is done, you won't be under contract anymore. Doesn't make sense for the Jets to pick up his 5th-year option. It would be like believe it's $23 million, $21 or $23 million on a fifth-year option. You cannot be paying a backup quarterback that kind of money, and he will not be ready to start, I think, by that point. His fifth year, I think Aaron Rodgers is playing 2 more years. That's my guess. He didn't get to play this year. I think he's definitely coming back in 24, and I think there's a pretty good chance he comes back in 2025, but obviously that's TBD there. But I don't think the timeline necessarily adds up right now. I think it's a little bit different, unless maybe they wanted to give him a bridge deal, but I don't know. I don't see it. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for the Jets and for Zach Wilson to just be like, all right, blank slate, you get another chance somewhere else, and we start over. We draft a quarterback, not necessarily in the first round. You have him sit behind Aaron Rodgers for 2-3 years, and by maybe year 3 or year 4, he's ready to take over. And you're looking at like a 3rd round pick or, whatever it is. But I understand that. The second part, or the second quote that jumped out that I really thought was interesting to me is, I'm now getting the sense from players in the locker room that they think that Wilson expects to be gone. So interesting, right, that the players think that Zach Wilson is gone next year. And I wouldn't say that Robert Saleh's lost the locker room or anything like that. It's a bizarre situation to be in with 4 games left. You have this guy who probably isn't going to be here next year starting for you and trying to keep your season alive. And maybe, who knows? I think it would be a great story if Zach Wilson had 4 more games like he just had against Tennessee and finds his way back. That would be fantastic. I think it would be a great story. Unfortunately, from what we've seen so far in his career, I don't know how you could bet on that being the case. I hope it is. That would be great. It's good for him. It's good for the Jets. It's good for everyone if that's what happens. The likelihood of it happening, I think, is what's up for debate. I hope he does it because I want him to keep the season alive. I also kind of want to see Aaron Rodgers play. If they do keep their season alive, that would be entertaining, and what a storyline that would be. Rodgers returns and, they win the final 3 games of the year with Rodgers. They make the playoffs and go on a run. That would be unreal, and what a story that would be. And at the same time, if Rodgers is unable to go, which based on the videos we saw this week, I think he's pretty close, especially if he was playing defense yesterday. What a tweet from Rich Cimini that Aaron Rodgers was playing linebacker on the scout team. He did it in training camp, by the way. That's not the first time he's done that, but I would imagine the Achilles is feeling pretty good if he's running around out there on defense, and that maybe the TMZ report of him being able to get cleared for next week isn't all that crazy after all. The final thing here before we wrap it up and call it a day. Rich Cimini later said that a personnel source outside from the Jets, not a Jets person, but says the Jets could probably get a 5th round pick for him. And you have some who say, well, if that's all you're getting, maybe you just bring him back. Others say just, move on and get the pick. I think it's interesting. For a 5th round pick, I probably would do it. But that's TBD. That's subject to change. I'm not writing that in stone right now. I'm not saying that's 1000% what is going to happen, but I think it's an interesting point to go through and look at, from Cimini's perspective on what he is hearing. It's not saying that Cimini's been right with 1000% of everything. He was very wrong about Mekhi Becton. He claimed that he was going to be traded before the season, but it's been an interesting year and a drama-filled year for Zach Wilson. From the reports that he was reluctant to come in and play, and then he has the game of his life, and now we'll see how he'll follow it up against Miami. So going into the game tomorrow against Miami, we get even more Zach Wilson storylines. Love it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Please make sure to subscribe here if you're new. Give a video a like before you go, and I'll catch you next time.